Magic. Love. Fairies. Will cease to exist. We have to take her down. You still don't know where you came from.
My heart and hope to die. Welcome to my dark side.
The tone's so much darker this season. Can you talk to me a bit about that and how you felt when you found that out?
I mean, I was excited.
I
think it's always fun to, dive a little deeper and make it a little bit more, I feel like it was more cinematic. You said that yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it is just like a bit of a different tone, and I feel like it kind of goes hand in hand with us kind of maturing.
Yeah.
As, the characters kind of maturing and, going through more,
and it also makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense because Rosalind's now in charge, so it's a completely different dynamic to when Dowling was in charge. So it kind of has to be darker, almost, because that's be a contrast from season 1, which
great. Bloom in particular is put under immense pressure from Rosalind straight from the get-go. What are your feelings on how Bloom takes that kind of pressure?
I think that Bloom goes through kind of clearly a journey throughout this. So I think that, there are times where she is feeling a little too confident, and then there are times where she's feeling insanely scared and insecure. And but you're totally right. Yeah, Rosalind does put a lot of pressure on her, and I think that she also kind of feels a bit responsible for that, because she was the one that let Rosalind out in the first place. And I think that is a bit of a complicated situation for Bloom.
I'll say. Away from obviously the main conflict of what Rosalind's up to and everything to do with Althea, both of you have your own separate conflicts to be dealing with. With Terra, it's the arrival of Flora. It seems to sort of jar her a little bit. Can you tell us a little bit about that relationship?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very complicated one. I think Terra absolutely, she loves Flora. They really love each other. There's such a sibling bond there. But like with siblings, they wind each other up like nobody else can. And I think for Terra, having for the first time in her life really started to find her feet and her group of people, but she's not quite secure enough yet to feel safe and comfortable within that. And so to have somebody come in who she knows very well and knows has the potential to cause a bit of drama and also show her up a little bit, I think, more to the point, is reflects back a lot of the things that Terra doesn't feel confident about within herself. So I think there's a lot going on basically, but it hopefully is entertaining to watch.
It is. And obviously for Stella, I mean, her conflict lies, it's a bit more deep. It's a bit more the conflict lies with her family and what that means, and her positioning sort of in the society of the sort of fairy world, the other world.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about that, and sort of especially the trickiest scenes, how that felt filming?
I guess it's really interesting to look at it from a family-based point of view, right? Because it's so difficult to trust people and to learn how to trust people, and especially when your caregivers are not there supplying you with just sort of unconditional love and space for you to be who you are. So the fact that she's getting that more from her friends and trying to believe that those people, especially I really think Terra is such a good example of this, of how endlessly she tries to be there for Stella and prove that is really moving and really gorgeous. But it is that thing of being damaged people, it takes time to learn to trust again, and I think that's her journey, and she's just very lucky to be surrounded with these characters who care about her so much.
Alicia, Musa seems to be going through somewhat of an identity crisis this season, to put it lightly.
Yeah, I mean, costume-wise, I think she's just going through loads of changes. She's like, I'm gonna cut my hair, I'm gonna wear some other clothes that are different to what I was doing last time. I think everyone's been there. Relatable. I think it's she's just struggling with learning how to use her magic and who her friends are. and who she is. Yeah, just everything.
One thing that I found actually kind of surprising, but in a nice way, I think, was her growing bond with Riven. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think he's almost like the tough love that she needs. I know that the Winx Suite can be, but I think it's just finding someone outside of that to be like, you know what, actually your friends are right, and you do need to snap into, like, become your own. And
something that I really love about you guys, like, you guys have that challenging, you guys challenge each other, which I really love.
Yeah.
In a aspect. I love that.
Yeah, no, I think Musa needs it, and I think Riven gives her that.
Both of you suffer like such immense betrayals, like during the show. Can you tell us a bit about Aisha and how she sort of deals with Grey's betrayal? And then also, Abigail, I'd like to hear a little more about what you feel about the family sort of side of things as that came out.
I think for Aisha, it's kind of a tough pill to swallow because these are all her firsts. So like moving to Althea, that's a first. Being around all these like girls, that's a first. And then meeting Grey and falling in love with him is another first for her. And that's been completely tarnished when she finds out that he's a blood witch, because it's like, what? She's like, what did I do to deserve this, you know? And yeah, I think it probably leaves her with a bit of trauma, like to find out that, you know, the person that you thought you loved, or the person that you loved, is actually not the person that you fell in love with. Yeah, it's a tough pill for her to swallow, I think.
Do you think that's going to affect her going forward?
Oh, absolutely. I think she's going to have major trust issues after that. Wouldn't we all?
True. And Abigail, what about you? There's a lot to unfold with Bloom.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bloom kind of suffers a lot of betrayal in this, but I think a major one would be Rosalind, because she does decide to finally trust her. And she finds out that Rosalind killed Dowling. So I think that is a humongous thing for her, and she makes the decision to end Rosalind's life.
That was brutal, that scene. I couldn't believe it when we saw it.
Like, damn. That's intense. I mean, like, maybe talk it out first, but like, no, I mean, that's how she like dealt with it. And then now she's accepting a punishment of, you know, from losing control and from doing that. And she, yeah, she's going through it this season, but all right. And then I think, you know, finding out about her actual mother and everything like that is just, it just piles on to everything else that she's been spending her entire time trying to figure out. So
what do you think her ultimate decision was? What the ultimate decider was for her to make the decision to go cross over?
I think that there is a mix of emotions there. I think that, you know, it's the only way to close it. Like, she could close it, right? Yeah. And then I think also she almost wanted to, there's a mix of things, because, like, you know, she's feeling drawn to this place. She feels in her heart like, this is where I need to go. And I don't know why, but I'm going. And, you know, there's that element to it. And then there's another where it's like, you know, I'm too dangerous for this world. Yeah. I'm not meant to be here. And I need to almost like sacrifice myself in order for everyone else to be safe, because she doesn't trust herself. And it's almost like a punishment for punishing herself. But yeah, there were a lot of elements to her reasoning.
Can you talk us a bit about the actors who play your parents? Because I've got to be honest, especially during the dinner scene, I kept thinking Trent Crimm, Independent, Ted Lasso. In my head.
My uncle, yes. Oh my gosh, how phenomenal was he?
He was a delight.
He is heaven.
I know I say everyone's a delight, but they are.
No, truly. They have good taste for the show.
Yeah.
No, he was utterly brilliant. He was just there being like the perfect level of villain where you're like, I can't despise you because you're too utterly charming.
And an Emmy-nominated fellow now, I believe.
Yes, he is indeed.
Oh yeah, we're going up in the world.
Oh, we truly are. And then obviously we have Kate Fleetwood, who is just utterly phenomenal. They both came in and just every single take that they did was like, I found myself having to like manually shut my jaw because they were just so brilliant, turning up, serving those characters so brilliantly and curating this really tricky world that Stella inhabits. So it's all thanks to them that we can really understand why it is so difficult for her.
Yeah, I mean, talking a couple of spoilers now, like the end of season 2 blows everything up in a very literal way. Where do you see your characters now, like as it stands, and what do you think will happen to them or hope to see happen to them in season 3?
What is a bit funny about the season finale is Tara's in a pretty good place.
Yeah, you're thriving.
I was going to say, I feel like out of everyone, Tara's the one who's got off the best. She's just like...
Yeah.
Tara's come out on top.
Tara really has come out on top in a, she obviously is going to be having a really difficult time because their friendship group is potentially irrevocably changed.
Yes.
And there's a whole lot of darkness happening. So I think it's going to bring them all, that will bring them all together.
Yeah.
And I think Tara is maybe in that zone when you've just found out new stuff about yourself and you've got new romance and you've suddenly come into yourself and you're like, everything is going to be fine from now on. And I think she's going to realise fairly swiftly that the credits haven't rolled yet.
Yes, there's a whole other series that's to happen yet.
Yeah, we hope.
we hope. I think, and also with that thing of like when you're in this newfound position of power, it's like, and you know, what will that mean in terms of the newfound weight that she can carry? It's like really exciting jumping off point for Tara.
What about Stella?
Stella's kind of the other end of the spectrum, I think.
God bless.
Yeah, she's still in a flop era, isn't she? No, I think she's like a newfound probably rage and desire for retribution, is that the right word?
And answers.
Yeah, and
she's got a mission on her hands.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's that thing of being like, for the first time, she's really driven by love. That is not, she's not doing things for herself. She's like, I want to do things for other people and make the world a better place, which is an incredible place for her to have landed in, considering how self-obsessed she was in season 1, episode 1.
But she was so self-obsessed, but feels like she's done much less. She's had the opportunity to do much less introspection than everybody else, in a way, because her life is so scrutinised and controlled. So it'll be really interesting if we get to see a space where that's not the case anymore.
Yeah, that's so true.
Going full independent woman.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the biggest things that was actually kind of a shock to me when I saw the episodes was she decides to sacrifice her power. She gives them up. Like, what was your thoughts when you saw that? And what, like, when you read that for the first time, and what do you think, how do you think that's going to progress going forward?
That is something I spoke to the writer Brian about, and I'd heard, didn't actually clarify, but I'd heard that in the animation, Muse's mum had sacrificed herself. I don't know if that's true, but I didn't know if it was dating back to that, and maybe she can't deal with it like her mum couldn't. So it was almost like well, if it's come to this and I still can't do it, then I'm gonna have to.
It seems like out of everyone, she's the one whose powers weigh on her the most.
I feel like they would for anybody. I think they're so internal. Everyone's is out of body, whereas hers is so internal that I think a lot of people can relate to Muse's powers, because it's just all these feelings and emotions that, especially as a teenager, like you're constantly having to deal with and learn about. So yeah, it's she's struggling a bit this season.
She's okay too.
Yeah, it's okay.
Finding her way.
Yeah.
Flora is a little more, I want to say reckless is probably the best word.
Sure, yeah.
The other members of the team. How did you feel playing that against the rest of the gang, who are sort of very more like a bit more straight-laced?
You know? Yeah. Yeah. I think she's trying to prove herself as well. Again, trying to find her way in the suite and trying to prove that she does fit in, even though I don't think she really needs to prove herself. Again, she's very easygoing, so she kind of, again, I think trying to find that bond that she had with Tara when she was younger, again, and working on that relationship.
Obviously, season 2 ends on one hell of a cliffhanger and a bit of a game changer. What do you think lies ahead for Musa and Flora in a potential season 3 if it was to happen?
Well, I think Musa needs to find peace in her powers. I think that's necessary for her, just so that it comes full circle and she's been able to have this journey of understanding herself and the world around her, really. And I just want to see her help. Want to see her help everyone, finally.
Yeah. You know, I think for me, we end the series with her kind of hurt by everything with the scrapers and stuff. And so I feel like there's going to be some healing, internal healing, physical healing that needs to happen there. And, you know, also just building her up.